Ready, go. Sunday night, October 8, 2023. Dan Grider, probable cause. You probably figured that out. Welcome back to another Sunday evening video broadcast from the world headquarters of Probable Cause, commonly known as my spare bedroom. Glad to have you with us here tonight. If you're with us, joining us in the chat room, the live chat is always associated with the Sunday night videos. It's your chance to jump in there and say hi. Try to keep it clean. A couple of you have gone a little towards the edge there. That's fine. Jump in there, say hi, tell me where you're calling from, checking in from, and I'd love to interact with you. Tell me what airplane you're flying and what color your dog is. Stuff like that would be totally cool. Glad to have you with us. These Sunday evening broadcasts have morphed into a deal. I take a tremendous amount of effort during the week to gather up this information the very best that I can. I'm a one-man show with a banjo and a cell phone. That's about it. So I don't have a lot of capability, stuff like that. But I appreciate you guys following along and subscribing. I feel like there is a renewed interest, especially now, in staying alive. And that is the theme, staying alive. Written by the Bee Gees a few years ago, and I've converted that song over to bluegrass. Next year, we're going to play that with a full bluegrass band, the Bee Gees Staying Alive song. It's going to be totally fun. Anyway, glad to have you with us here tonight. Since October 1, I know you want me to talk about the McSpadden thing. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but in order, and I'll get to all that in a second. But since October 1 started, I want you to know that when last week's video dropped, I was actually mobile. I normally don't get these done very much in advance at all. Last week's video I did get done a little bit in advance because I had to be mobile and on the road Sunday afternoon. So when I got the news about the McSpadden crash up in Lake Placid, New York, I was actually mobile, and I got a couple texts about it. Very sorry about that as well. I'm going to talk about the McSpadden thing here in a little bit, so hold on your hats. 11 accidents in general aviation since October 1. 4 of them have been fatal. 5 if you count the lady that got hit by a wing while she was mowing grass out in Oklahoma. I don't know, it doesn't really count, but 4 genuine fatals, and we'll get to all of those. Of the 11 accidents in the first part of October here, the first 8 days of October, I want you to look at this sheet. All 11 are listed here. Actually, 10 of them are listed. What's the one that's missing? It's the Lake Placid, New York one. Preferential treatment there. It'll probably be another week before this accident even gets assigned a case number. I don't understand why preferential treatment by the NTSB goes on. You can delay assigning a number. You can wish your NTSB offers their condolences to their friends, and they're on special cases like this. I don't really get it. It's a government agency. I think we should be treating everybody equally. I think we should be doing all the investigations equally. This was a plane crash. No more, no less. So let's treat it all equal. Of the 5 from the first part of this week, we'll get into that spreadsheet. But before we do that, we're going to talk about a little bit of history here. I'm going to take you back to July. And I want you to understand the theme of what I'm trying to do here on the channel. Most of these stories here, aviation has evolved from being mostly a mechanical failure cause in the old days to now our mechanics, our radios, our aircraft, our systems, our cables are pretty good. It's our pilots. Most of the time, it's pilot error. So what is the story behind the story? I want to turn your attention towards this accident from out in eastern Colorado, July 6 or 7, 100 Papa Bravo. Here it is on the sheet right here, 100 Papa Bravo. The accident occurred out there in on July 8 of 2023, and this was a strange one. When this happened, I put a lot of work into trying to figure this thing out. I made a lot of phone calls. I had a lot of friends out there. Nobody could tell me what the deal was on this. There's very little data. I finally got the NTSB preliminary. Here's a picture of the crash site, and now I know the rest of the story. I want you to take a look at this real quick because I'm going to tell you, now I know the backstory on this particular crash. One guy got killed in this. Now it makes perfect sense. And I think this is the missing backside of the story that the NTSB misses. They're still picking around that wreck site looking for a faulty valve. The story isn't in the valve. The story is with the guy that flew it. What's his story? What motivated him? What were the circumstances? Why did this crash happen? I think when I tell you this entire story, You're going to totally get it. Before we do that, I'm going to talk about the Delta 757. That happened in early August. It landed fast. We took a look at this. This is the one that they couldn't decide whether to evacuate or not. They were sitting there on the runway. They were on 9 left in Atlanta. They landed. Left gear well was on fire. The tires were on fire. The tower told them no less than 5 times, like, you're physically on fire. They delayed evacuating, which is the captain's call. I'm not saying that that is right or wrong, but I'm saying that that maneuver is now an AQP maneuver at Delta, because it caused a lot of people to do a lot of thinking about a lot of policies and procedures, as it should be. What happened? The person flying on this airplane was a brand new female co-pilot, new hire, just off of IOE. This 757 had been flying around for about 5 days, maybe 6, on MEL, which is minimum equipment list. The anti-skid system for the airplane was in-op, which is legal. You can placard it in-op, and you can go X amount of days before they fix it. Anti-skid in-op means that if you mash your toe brakes all the way to the firewall, those brakes are going to respond. And that's what happened. This girl landed fast. She landed with the brakes on. The one thing that a captain cannot undo from his right seater is toe pressure. He can overpower her on the yoke. He can overpower her on the throttles. He can overpower everything. But when she mashes the pedals all the way to the floor, he doesn't have a way to unmash pedals. Therefore, no more MELs on 7.5, and in fact, probably most of the fleets, no more MELs, extended MELs for anti-skid in-op. You got to have it, especially with this many new hires. What could we probably have done? I think, hindsight, 2020, not really fair for me to sit here and armchair quarterback this one, but here's what the deal is. I think it probably would have been a good idea for the captain to have taken this landing. It's anti-skid on MEL, and we're in a hurry. We're trying to make this turn. It's not a high speed. It's a 90, so we got to get down, stopped, and turn left before this turn. And this girl gave it her best effort, and boy, she smoked those tires. The tires caused the heat, caused the brakes to heat. The brakes caused the fire. The fire is directly below the jet fuel. We keep the jet fuel in the wing directly above the tires. So yes, it's a big deal. Did they do the right thing? Well, they got everybody off the airplane. Did they wait too long? I don't know. Did fire and rescue take too long to get out there? I don't know. I kind of think so. But the point is, letting a new hire, brand new to this big of an airplane, land under those circumstances was probably your error there. Lessons learned. Nobody got hurt. The airplane's going to be usable. It's all good. Lessons learned. I guarantee that's going to be an AQP maneuver at the airlines going forward. This very scenario, and that's what AQP is. Let's get into a few more AQP scenarios. I don't have a super lot to talk about tonight, so I'm going to cover a few trivia objects here before we get to that. But I did a speaking engagement, EAA 690 at LZU, KLZU, Gwinnett County Airport, EAA 690. I want to say thank you to those guys. We took the DC-3 and flew up there yesterday, which is Saturday. Pancake breakfast. We all went, and I had a chance to speak for just a few minutes. I feel like I held their attention for a few minutes at that. And I explained a little bit about AQP and what the program is, how it applies to general aviation. So thanks to EAA. If you've got a chapter, a club, a group you'd like me to come and speak, I don't charge any money. I travel for free. I got a sleeping bag. I can get to just about any place if you'd like me to have come and play a guitar or banjo. It's your function. Food would be good if you had that, but I don't charge anything. I'd like to come and tell your group, your bunch of pilots, about AQP for general aviation. I think we probably helped a few people, and at least caused a few people at that EAA meeting, probably 100 people in there, to think differently about something, or maybe to do a little bit of research on how they want to alter their flying to stay alive. Now, here's the interesting thing. Leaving LZU, a Towered Airport, one of the guys I was flying with wanted to hop the airplane over to PDK and offered to buy lunch if we would hop the airplane to PDK and land. And he had a group of aviation school kids, aviation youth program, something like that, that he wanted to let tour the airplane. So I said, fine, if there's free lunch involved, we'll just hop it over to PDK and land. Now, coming into PDK, here's what happened. I actually issued a brasher to a controller at PDK yesterday, and here's how it happened. We came in, this controller cleared me to enter the downwind for 3 right. PDK has 2 runways, 3 left and 3 right. The control tower has direct view of both the runways. So we enter the downwind. Here's a graphic of it. Here's us on FlightAware coming in. Nice downwind. I was actually flying the airplane from the right seat on this. Downwind, base, and on. When we came in here, the controller asked me, we cleared up several times. They made very clear you clear to land 3 right. I read it back, 3 right. Let's listen to that. Here's our clear to land.
DC3 center, go right down, 143 right. Delta, 3 right, clear land. Clear right. 3 right, clear to land, and Delta. We copy, clear land, 3 right, 143 Delta.
And then at some point, a very strange call wanted to know how fast I was going, what my speed was. And so I told him I'm doing 90 across the ground. Very unusual. There's nobody out here, no other airplanes, nothing going on, not another airplane moving. And he wants to know how fast I'm going. So I answered.
143 Delta, what's your airspeed? 90 across the ground right now. Right.
Then here's what happened. Got on short final. And just about to touch down, this tower controller was conducting a tour in the tour cab and had his friends or somebody up in the tour cab with him. The winds were 11 gusting to 20 something. Let's listen to what the winds are. You can barely hear it, but it's a direct crosswind, more than 20 knots. I can tell you I had my hands full. Here's that exchange.
143 Delta, entering right down, runway 3 right, wind 32011, gust 20, altimeter 3006.
06, winner, right down, 143 right, 143 Delta.
143 Delta, clear, cut right.
Douglas, DC3.
Now on very short final, with my leg extended and my left wing down and my throttle split, I can do this. The crosswind doesn't bother me, but it's a handful, and I can do it. I was just about to touch down when the controller issued me a go-around, make left traffic. Now, in the process of a go-around, I've already got my sync going. My power's already back. I'm already on the way down. As I prepared to honor his request, then he said, clear to land. Now, there's your problem right there. That's a controller deviation. You cannot send an airplane around and then clear him to land. You can't do it. If you send him around and you've got a valid reason for it, send him around. If you send me around, guess what? I'm going around. If you send me around and then tell me to clear to land, and I'm already in the process of it, in this case, I went ahead and finished the landing. I did not discuss it on the radio. I got to wait till I was done, cleared the runway, taxied to the ramp, switched over to ground control. On ground control, I issued my brasher. And I said, possible controller deviation, I want you to copy this number. We're going to talk about this. I'm not sure what you're thinking here, but if your controller of the tower cab is wanting to show off for his friends by sending a DC-3 around in those kind of conditions just for the fun of it, I've got a problem with that, and we're going to talk about it. There's my brasher. I've issued a brasher. I am not anti-controller. I think that FAA, ATC, and pilots should be a two-way street. Controllers are human beings too. I think there's a way too much nonsense and goofing around and tour visits and watching TV and wrestling going on in these tower cabs and listening to radios and listening to music in these tower cabs. It's a professional environment. Mind the airplanes, do your job, save your people and your girlfriend and all that kind of stuff for after work. You can go out and talk about it. Quit doing all the stuff at the tower. Sending me around in those kind of conditions really hurt my feelings. I could have done it and I would have done it. But I'll give you the conclusion to this. This is a brasher. I issued a brasher to a controller. I can promise you what the feds see. It's not a two-way street. I don't have the legal authority to issue a violation or issue time off, things like that. I think we should. I think pilots should not be violated as much as they are, and I think controllers should recognize this is a two-way street. In this case, it was intentional, in my opinion, and I'm going to give you the conclusion to all of that when it gets done.
143 Delta, turn landing runway 3 right.
Yeah, runway 3 right.
143 Delta, it's time to go around and make a left course. 143 Delta, 143 Delta, demonstrate.
I was on the road Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, 3 different projects I'm out working on. AQP, DTSB related, airplane accident investigation related, on the road. One of them you're not going to believe. I'll tell you about it. Eventually, you're going to hear about one of these eventually. Made it back in town for Tuesday night. My friend Sarah Guthrie, that's Arlo Guthrie's daughter. Arlo Guthrie was the son of Woody Guthrie. Those names should be familiar to you. If you remember Alice's Restaurant and one of Arlo's most famous songs, City of New Orleans. Sarah and her guitar player, Brian. Brian's a friend of mine. They let me know they were going to be in town playing at Eddie's Attic on Tuesday night, so I came in off the road just in time to swoop 2 free tickets to Eddie's Attic and go see them. Here's just a few seconds. They did play City of New Orleans. Here's a few seconds of that.
I love singing this song. This is the ending of most of my life, I swear, every night. And once my dad retired a couple years ago, I thought, okay, well, I guess I better take over. So here we go. Riding on the city of New Orleans, there were no simple Monday morning rain.
But before the show started, I said, hey, let's pull out a guitar. Let's pull out 3 guitars and play this song. This is an old Arlo Guthrie song. I had to practice it for just a second with them to recognize the changes and how it's going to end. Here is, because we have time, I'm going to put the whole thing in here. Here's an Arlo Guthrie song sung by Sarah Guthrie. That's Arlo's daughter. Arlo had 3 daughters, and Sarah's out there on the road. I'm going to put her tour schedule. If you ever get a chance to go visit, hear Sarah in concert, here's her tour schedule. Well worth it. She is a singer, songwriter, storyteller, just like her dad. Her stories are amazing. She's got a great voice and a great vocal duo here that works really good in these kind of settings. This is not a 15,000 person amphitheater kind of thing. These are smaller settings in local places, very small, quiet, intimate places where you can actually hear the acoustic guitars. You can meet the people, you can talk to them and get a selfie taken with them. It's totally fun. Here is our warm-up. Actually, I tell you what, let me put that song at the very end. I'm going to put the serious song just in case you don't like the music. I'll put that at the very end, but I'm going to show you. I did get to play with Brian and Sarah Guthrie. Now, while I was at PDK, I ran into a buddy of mine who owns Biplane Rides. I'm going to show you this thing, and he gave me one of these shirts right here, so I'm going to give him a special shout out. Biplane Rides over Atlanta. Here's the website, 1-800-BIPLANE, I believe it is. You can buy a biplane in a Waco. Now, the Waco is a 3-person airplane, so the pilot sits in back, and you put your 2 people up front, and I happened to be there right when they were launching a ride, so I shot a little bit of video. Here's me on the outside of the airplane shooting video of the people on the inside. Totally fun. I got to show just a little bit of footage of what it looks like, and you can do this. Happy to promote this guy. It's not a compensation thing. I'm not being paid to promote or anything like that. Just a good, clean, ride-hopping organization. Very good, well-maintained airplane, an excellent reputation, excellent flying record, excellent pilots, and excellent maintenance. Happy to help a fellow business person out there trying to make a living selling biplane rides. If you get a chance to go take a look at this, here's a little bit of that footage. So, 80% of our fatals every year are always day VFR fatals. It's unusual, but we're having a policy and procedure problem, an airmanship problem, a basic airmanship problem. I got Dylan out there on the road right now. Here is Dylan. I want you to watch this little clip. This is Dylan. I trained him. He's a student pilot. Check out this. This is his own. I was with him in his airplane for a few minutes here last week, and I shot this video. I just turned the camera on as he was getting ready to take off. Here's Dylan's before takeoff.
Passenger brief complete. Projected takeoff brief. I want 60 miles per hour by 50% of the runway. If I don't see that, I'll abort the takeoff. Projected takeoff brief complete. Lost thrust on takeoff brief. There it is. Push. Fly the airplane all the way to the crash. Maintain DMS. Do not turn around. Fly the airplane all the way to the crash. Gross weight. What are we at? 66%. Density altitude 2,000 feet. Fuel on board. We've got 25 gallons, which is going to be about 6, 12, 18, 24. It's going to be about 4 hours. Hot items, mixture rich. Flame light on. Fuel pump on. Parking brake off. Final clear. Speedway traffic 826, 4 November is departing runway 6 and staying in the pattern, Speedway traffic.
Now, today it's Sunday. He's out on the road. If you want to follow him, 8264 November. He's also got a Facebook page trying to get free food and beans and bologna sandwiches on the road. Here's his Facebook page. He's also got a YouTube channel. I'm not sure if his latest YouTube video is up or not, but you might want to watch that if you're interested in it. Here's his Facebook page. If you happen to follow him, I think he's going to post frequent pictures of where he is and ideas for where to go. He doesn't really have a plan or a need to be any place. He's just wanting to fly around and meet people, take pictures, take videos, and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully somebody has a leftover can of Spam someplace. He's got a jug of water, a sleeping bag. He's got a stack of sectionals. He's out there flying around on my endorsement as a student pilot with an E6B, a pencil, and a stack of sectionals. How do you like that? Pilotage and dead reckoning. He can do it. He did it last weekend. He flew, I forget, almost 10 hours last weekend. Pilotage and dead reckoning. He did great. So he came home, regrouped, fixed a few things, fixed his checklist a little bit, refined a few things, and now he's out there again. I think he's going to be gone 2 or 3 days. I don't actually know. But I'm going to endorse every single leg electronically as he goes. We'll have our conference, our briefing, and all that kind of stuff. Here is today's launch just a few hours ago. As I kicked him off the airport, he jumped in his airplane, and he's on the way out. Here it is. All right, how many days are you going to be gone?
3 is my estimation.
All right, 3 days on the road. You know the deal.
Don't wreck it.
Don't wreck it. Go straight ahead.
That's right.
Godspeed.
Godspead.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty. Here it is, October. I'm only going to put these 4 on here. The 5th one was an airplane that hit a lady on a lawnmower landing in Oklahoma. I'm just going to leave that off here. Here's our 4 so far. And number 1 is the McSpadden one. This is 545 Papa Zulu. It's a 177 RG up in New York. Dick McSpadden, age 62, 63. I'm going to play a little bit of footage. You know, McSpadden and I have butted heads and gone literally toe-to-toe on so many concepts since he came on board AOPA. I've been very vocal about anti-AOPA, anti-policy. One of the biggest things that we butted heads over ever was this thing to turn back, where he advocated the pilot's ability to turn back, which to an extent, a pilot has the right. You're the pilot command. You can turn back if you want to. But his angle here was that you could place an airplane at a 45-degree angle of bank low to the ground, and he never, in all of his videos, they never talk about wing loading. Richard has never been very conscious of speed control, and he advocated attempting to turn around from these low altitude. We're talking 400, 500, and 600 feet is where they're performing their experiments at. AOPA took a lot of flack when that first video came out. They went out and demonstrated it in 4 airplanes. A couple of them it worked good, a couple of them it did not. But in any case, they produced that video almost advocating that each pilot think about this. I think from 400, 500, and 600 feet, you better really think hard about turning around and making it back to the airport. And why? Why are we trying to make it back to the airport? Is it so that we don't damage our insured airplane? We don't really care. The insurance company owns that airplane. When you have your engine failure and it was no fault of your own, the insurance company owns that. All you got to do is land it someplace, open the door, step out, and go to dinner. You try to turn this thing around, and the consequences are probably going to be fatal. Now, in McSpadden's case, I do not know yet what he did. I've got almost no information on this. I'm going to show you AOPA's rendition of this. Immediately after the crash, they published this, and I'll show it to you. It mentions an emergency after takeoff and trying to return to the field. That's not my words. That's theirs. I really think their marketing should have scaled back, because there's no need to publish that this early. Who knows what really happened? I think they did try in some fashion to make some kind of an attempt to turn around. Was it a stall spin? I don't know yet. Did they fly it directly into a tree and hit a tree head on? I don't know. I can't comment on this because I certainly don't know. All I'm telling you is the entire mentality of AOPA from what it used to be in the 60s and 70s, where the executives were appropriately paid, but they were directly involved in the mission of AOPA, is a far cry from what it is today, with everybody making big money, and all their videos having to do with products and those kind of things, and not enough videos and education on keeping their pilots and their cross-section rank and file members, trying to keep them alive. That's where we've butted heads the most on. This whole thing, I want to show you a few clips from Oshkosh, where McSpadden is on stage with a couple other people, and they're talking about this. Here's a couple clips out of McSpadden's talk. It's about an hour long, so I've got just a few clips, but you can kind of get a taste of his mentality for this turnback thing. And I'm going to show you this graphic here. AOPA produced this graphic, which is completely wrong. I don't see how somebody did not proofread this graphic. Your 10-degree bank and your 30 and your 45, these are supposed to be the ground tracks. They're showing a ground track going this wide at a 10-degree bank, and a ground the whole thing, you can see where this thing is here. 10, 30, and 45, they've got them backwards. I can maybe believe the 30 in the middle. Anyway, here's some excerpts from this. I think the whole AOPA thing, these are non-experts. It's the whole thing is simply not good.
So basically what we did is we went up to altitude, we cut the power, we established waited 3 seconds, established a 45-degree bank, and turned for 360 degrees to see how much altitude we would lose. So with that, here's some interesting sort of dynamics on the turn back. So the first thing is you can see that inside circle, and you can see that that's only 16 seconds from engine failure to turn back. However, that's about 60 degrees of bank. And what we did in our study, and what we found, and I think, Brian, you also advocate for this, is that the more bank angle you have, then the more G you're going to put on the aircraft, and the higher your stall speed due to the acceleration there, due to the G you're putting on the airplane. So we thought, and I still believe, based on this scenario here, that 45 degrees of bank is about right. There's enough safety margin in there. It's about that middle line in there, so it doesn't get you back as fast, but it gets you back faster than, say, a 30-degree bank, which is on the outside of that. My takeaway from this is, in a Super Cub, with me, a very proficient pilot with a lot of experience, and a lot of experience in that Super Cub, when the conditions are like that, the turnback is a very good option for me. So if you decide, which I have based on this, that a turnback in a Super Cub is an option for me, and what we found was we'd go up to 800 feet and we could do the turnback.
So that's the Lake Placid one. I'm very sorry. It is the loss of 2 valuable lives. Obviously, we're all trying to prevent lives lost on this. Very sorry for the McSpadden family and everybody involved. I'm not going to go any further to speculate anymore because I really don't know any more about it. 5-6 Delta Victor is the next one. This one, I've got a tremendous amount of information on. This guy's name out here was Dooley Vanio, 59 years old, and he, boy, do I have the goods on this. 2 airplanes flying in one of these strips out here where you can only land and take off one direction. The first guy made it in. This Dooley is a private pilot. He has got a history of all kinds of crashes, thefts, bad stuff. I believe he was currently at the time flying around with no medical. He's been in fights. He's been in everything. What he did on this particular flight was he flew into a strip where you can only land and take off one way, and once you're on the way in, you're committed. You have to continue. He got down low and it wasn't right. He tried to go around. His left main gear hit a rock. It pulled the gear off. It pulled part of it off. Somehow, I don't have the pictures. I don't have the information yet, but they're telling me somehow he lost a wing in flight and it's all over. But poor airmanship, poor decision-making, put that airplane in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's the end of Dooley. If you have information on past Dooley deals, this is almost like the incident from last week with the kid, the CFI that flew into the thunderstorm. I got a whole bunch more intel on that one as well. Very sad situation, losing lives over just dumb decision-making, stuff like that. Dooley, he was probably about due for this. From what I can tell here, I've already got stacks of emails about previous Dooley things, so very sorry that he lost his life in this, but at least he didn't take anybody else with him on this one. The next one we're going to talk about is the Senator out in Moab, and this is November 7153 Romeo out in Utah. Is a Senator. His wife and 2 kids and a fully loaded Cherokee 140. Now, the 140 did have an upgraded engine. It had a 180 horse engine, but still, I know a little bit about Cherokee 140. They're at Moab. I can't even imagine what the density altitude was. Making a night takeoff, full fuel, and 4 people, plus their luggage. They'd been down in Phoenix or something on a family outing. Wrong. This is exactly how you end up dead. He's at night in the terrain in a Cherokee 140 with 4 people. I know he's a senator, politician, representative, somebody super powerful and super rich. That's fine. He's still dead. You cannot do this. You people listen to this stuff. This is how you get killed. You do this kind of thing, Mother Earth will rise up and smite thee. No doubt about it. Here's the last one we're going to take a look at. This is November 8360 kilo. This is the PA 44180. I'm going to show you the footage of it. Here it is spinning. This is a CFI and a student, actually an MEI and a student. Got the airplane into a spin. I'm not sure why they couldn't recover it, but it fell and hit a house. Here's a news clip on this one.
This video was taken by a neighbor just before 7 last night as the plane was spiraling down.
It impacted a residential structure towards the back of a house, and at this time it is undetermined as to why. Crashing
nose down through the roof of this house on North Cedar Street in Newburgh.
With potential victims inside, we started a rapid extrication.
Newburgh Dundee police say there were 3 people on board that plane, all living in Hillsborough. 20-year-old Barrett Bavakwa and 22-year-old Michele Cavallati were found dead in the aircraft. Cavallati was an instructor for the Hillsborough Aero Academy, and Bavakwa was a student pilot.
And when we got here, Life Flight was landing. There was ambulances blocking off the street.
The third person on that plane was 20-year-old Emily Hurd, sitting in the back. She was airlifted to OHSU with critical injuries. A Facebook post online from her mom says as of 7:30 this morning, surgery went well and her spinal cord is intact. The post also said she has both sternal, rib, and pelvic fractures. When it comes to those who were inside the home, firefighters say everyone ran out safely after the plane crashed. Today, the homeowners came back to the home and grabbed some essential items and loaded up their cars. Investigators from the FAA and the NTSB are now here looking for a cause.
Ironically, the girl in the back seat, she survived the crash, and I think she's going to be okay. They hit a house. The house was occupied, but nobody in the house got killed. There's one person in the house did get very injured in the process, but this is a training environment gone wrong. I believe we'll know a little bit more about it later on. Okay, so that's your 4, actually 5 for October. I'm going to go back and talk about this July thing just before I quit here. 100 Papa Bravo, July 8th, out in Western Colorado. Here's the deal. This guy, 75 years old, he flies in to this airport in eastern Colorado, lands, but the weather is bad. Now, in talking with the people around there that I eventually ended up talking to, he made some very, very strange comments. He's in a twin-engine Aerostar, a very fast, pressurized, very capable airplane with everything. It had avionics, it had Aspen, it had a pair of 530s, it had everything. But the guy wouldn't fly at IFR. He scud-runned into there, topped off with gas, and then he was waiting for the weather to improve. In the process of waiting on that Thursday, the weather was mostly 100 to 150 overcast with drizzle, visibility a quarter most of the day. When the visibility came up to about 800 in a mile, he launched that airplane. He took off to the south in that airplane on that Thursday. They did not find the airplane until Saturday. No relatives, nobody was looking for him. He crashed it in a field, and here's his flight path. Where was he going? He told people that he had a GPS problem and he couldn't file IFR. I think there was other problems. In learning what I did about this, I think I saw about 6 or 7 complete red flags on this one. There's something really strange here. I don't have the guy's name. I know he was 75 years old. I know he was trying to get to L.A. Scud running to L.A. to get out of Colorado. You got to get down towards the lower country here. I think for fuel purposes, you fly an Aerostar down low, you're going to burn gas. I think he was headed for Las Cruces, New Mexico, to fuel up, to go across the bottom of the states and stay out of the terrain, which is the route that I normally go. Here's the route that I think that he wanted to go, and here's his flight path. He took off in his beautiful marginal 800 overcast, visibility 1 or 2, and drizzle. He took off trying to scud run. What he ran into was clouds that went all the way to the ground. What do these guys try to do when they run into this? This is unintentional IMC after takeoff. He made it a few miles south, and then he tried to make a right-hand turn and make it back to the airport that he departed from. He knew there was a coffee pot and a runway opposite direction of where he came from, and he tried the famous 180. He tried to turn around. He lowered the nose. His problem was he was not good on instruments, and he didn't know that the clouds went all the way to the ground. He flew this thing right into the ground. Fireball, broken apart. Here's a picture of the ground scar right here. Nobody found him till Saturday. There's nothing left of the guy or the airplane, but he flew into the same weather that had traversed the airport a few minutes before that had moved to the south. He just flew south and flew back into the same weather again. Bad visibility. The ground, there's no features out there. All those plowed fields, they all look the same. A descending right-hand turn with slight wing low into this field, and it was so far out in the middle of nowhere, nobody even heard the explosion. Nobody saw it happen. Nobody had any idea, and no relatives, no friends, nobody ever came looking for the guy. Lots of flags on that story, but that's the human interest factors behind the scene. If you're looking for a faulty valve NTSB out there in the middle of that wreckage, that you're trying to put this airplane back together and figure out what went wrong, you're not going to find it. The problem's with the guy. The problem is the story. The problem is the motivation. Here's what he was trying to do, and here's where he was, and here's where he was trying to get, and this is who the guy is. That's all that happened. That's what NTSB needs to put into their investigations. There's a backstory on every one of them. This one's fascinating because at the time, back in July, I looked at this and I tried and couldn't figure it out. Now that I know all the rest of the story, it all makes perfect sense. I'm going to get out of here. I want you to support the channel when you can. All my traveling around looking at these things might help you. I hope it does. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. I'll put the Sarah Guthrie song here at the very end just in case you want to stick around and hear that. It was kind of fun. I got to do a little bit of finger picking. I only got one camera angle on this, so it's kind of goofy, but here it is. The audio came out okay for my tiny little itty-bitty fledgling YouTube channel. Dan Grider. Probable cause. So this is pretty cool. Down here with Sarah Guthrie, my friend Brian from Texas. If you don't know the last name Guthrie, she's a performer, singer, songer on her own right, but her father is Arlo Guthrie, her grandfather Woody Guthrie. Long history here, and I have to tell you, I grew up listening to your dad's stuff, and I've heard the Guthrie Girls, a few of those tunes. Some of that stuff is really cool, but it's an honor to get to sit at the same bar stool with you guys, and we want to play a quick tune off of her tour. She's out here on the road. I'm going to publish her tour schedule where she's going. This is this is your dad's song, isn't it, that we're going to play?
No, it's my grandfather.
It's your grandfather's?
It's a Woody Guthrie song.
Yeah, but Arlo played it a lot, didn't he?
Sure.
Yeah. I think I heard it, the recording originally, one that your dad did, but Alice's Restaurant, you know all that stuff. Arlo Guthrie. This is Sarah Guthrie, and then your sisters. You have the Guthrie Girls. You guys tour and stuff too. So
yeah,
totally fun. My friend Brian is the guitar player of the year, a man on the ukulele. You ought to hear this guy on the ukulele. So we're going to lay down a quick track here, and these guys are going to play. We're at Eddie's Attic in Atlanta, Georgia. Came here to hear these guys tonight, and had a chance to pull out a guitar and play this real quick. I think we ought to do it.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
PSC, here
All
we go. Oh, I ain't got no home, I'm just rambling round, just a wandering worker. I go from town to town, police make it hard wherever I do go. I ain't got no home in this world anymore. My brothers and my sisters are stranded on this road. It's a high, dusty road, let a million feet of travel. Rich man took my home and he drove from my door. Now I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Oh, I ain't got no home, I'm just rambling round. I'm just a wandering worker, I go from town to town, and policemen get hard wherever I go. I ain't got no home in this world anymore.
Why, the kid world is such a funny place to be, where the gambling man is rich and the working man is poor. Oh, I ain't got no home in this world anymore. No, I ain't got no home, I'm just a rambling round. I'm just a wandering worker, I go from town to town, and the police make it hard wherever I go. I ain't got no home in this world anymore. I ain't got no home in this world anymore.
All right, thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Very cool.
Sarah Guthrie, Brian Tremagard.
Last time it was Steve.
Steve.
Steve works.
Thanks for watching. Check out Sarah's tour schedule. These guys are totally awesome. Go buy a ticket and hear these guys play live wherever you're at.
Thanks.